There was a man named Zaki. Zaki was a man of I too know. You know such men? The ones who think their shadow is taller than the Iroko tree? He was a builder of houses, a man who worked with stone and clay. But Zaki had a heart like a sieve. Nothing stayed inside. He was loud, he was proud, and he believed that the world of the seen was the only world that mattered. "If I cannot touch it," Zaki would say, splashing palm wine on his chest, "it does not exist. Spirits? Ghosts? Those are stories told by old women to keep children from stealing meat from the soup pot." The elders would shake their heads. They would whisper, "A man who calls a leopard a bush cat should not complain when he is eaten." But listen, for the wind is changing. The threshold of the orange mist. One afternoon, while the sun was beating the earth like a drum, pogiri, kogiri, kogiri, Zaki was climbing a high scaffolding to finish the roof of the chief's new granary. He was singing a song of pride, mocking the spirits of the air. Suddenly, his foot missed the wood. He did not scream, he did not cry, he simply fell. He hit the ground with a thud that shook the goats in their pens. The villagers rushed over. They saw Zaki lying there, eyes wide, skin turning the color of ash. They felt for his pulse. Nothing. They felt for his breath. Nothing. "He is gone," the healer sighed. "Prepare the shroud. By tomorrow's sunrise, we must return him to the earth." But Zaki was not gone. Zaki was standing right next to them. He was shouting, "I am here! I am here! Look at me! Why are you crying, you fools? My neck just feels a bit stiff." But no one turned. No one blinked. He reached out to grab his wife's hand, but his fingers passed through her skin like smoke through a thatched roof. Panic, my children. Panic is a cold lizard crawling down the spine. Zaki looked at his body on the ground. It looked like a discarded garment. He looked at his hands. They were shimmering like the surface of a pond. He was in the between place. "Help me!" he screamed. "They cannot hear you, stone builder," a voice rasped. Zaki spun around. Standing there was a figure wrapped in cloth the color of a setting sun, a deep, burning orange. In Umuolu, orange was the color of the forgotten. It was the color of those who died with unfinished business. "Who are you?" Zaki trembled. "I am the one you said did not exist," the spirit said, "and you are a man with a pebble stuck in his throat. You are not dead, but the gatekeeper is already polishing the key. You have until the moon reaches the center of the sky. If you do not wake your body by then, the earth will claim what it thinks is hers." "How?" Zaki begged. "Tell me how." "The glass blossom," the spirit whispered. "It grows only in the garden of the sleepless, the place where the madmen are kept. You must find a living soul who can see the unseen. Only they can pluck it. Only they can place it on your tongue. The search for the seer." Zaki ran. Or rather, he floated ran. He went to the market. He went to the shrines. He screamed into the ears of the priests, but they only felt a slight chill and wrapped their shawls tighter. Then he saw him. At the edge of the village sat Obi. Obi was the village madman. He wore rags. He talked to walls. He laughed at things that were not there. People threw stones at him. They said his mind had been eaten by the forest. Zaki approached him, hopeless. Can you see me?" Obi stopped laughing. He turned his eyes that looked like they had seen the beginning of time, and focused right on Zaki's face. "You are late," Obi said clearly. "The shadow crows are already gathering on your roof." Zaki fell to his knees. "Please, I am not dead. There is a flower, a glass blossom in the house of the sleepless." Obi tilted his head. "The house of the sleepless? You mean the asylum where the guards carry heavy sticks, where they give the bitter water to make the mind go dark?" Yes, please, if you don't help me, they will bury me alive. Obi looked at the villagers passing by. To them, he was just a madman talking to the air. If I go there, Obi whispered, they will lock me in. They will never let me out. I am free out here. People call me mad, but I can see the stars in the daytime. If I help you, I lose my sky. I will give you everything, Zaki cried. My gold, my houses. Obi laughed, a hollow sound. What is gold to a man who talks to the wind? But I know what it's like to be ignored. I will go, but you must guide me, for the orange mist is rising, and it blinds even me. The resistance of the gates. They reached the house of the sleepless. It was a gray building, smelling of old sweat and fear. The guards stood at the gate, their faces like carved mahogany. Where are you going, madman? The head guard barked, raising a whip. He has the blossom, Zaki hissed into Obi's ear. Tell him you have a message from the ancestors. Obi shook his head. No, the truth is a blunt machete, but it cuts. Obi looked at the guard. I have come to take what belongs to the light. The guards laughed. They grabbed Obi by his thin arms. They dragged him inside, beating him as they went. Twai, twai, went the whip. Zaki watched, feeling every phantom blow. He saw Obi's blood, red and real, spatter the dust. Keep going, Zaki urged, his voice cracking. We are running out of time. Look at the sky. The moon was climbing. It was a silver hook pulling Zaki's soul towards the great dark. Inside the asylum, it was a nightmare. Men chained to walls, women weeping for children they would never hold. The air was thick with the bitter water, the sedatives the guards forced down the throats of the inmates. There, Zaki pointed. In a small, hidden courtyard, protected by a fence of thorns, grew a single flower. It was not green. It was clear as water, shimmering with a light that hurt to look at. The glass blossom. But between them and the flower stood the healer of the night, a man with a heart of stone who believed that only sleep could cure the soul. You, the healer said, looking at Obi, you have escaped our care for too long. Give him the draught of the deep sleep. Obi looked at Zaki. If I drink that, I will not see you anymore. I will not see the flower. I will be just a body. Fight them, Zaki screamed. But there were too many. They pinned Obi down. They held his jaw. The bitter water was at his lips. What would you do, my children? Would you lose your mind to save a man who never believed you existed? Eh? Obi looked at the empty air where Zaki stood. Remember me, he whispered. He swallowed the medicine. His eyes began to glaze over. The world of spirits began to fade. Zaki started to vanish from Obi's sight. The flower, Zaki wailed. Pluck it now, before the sleep takes you. With a final, desperate surge of strength, Obi kicked the healer away. He lunged towards the thorn fence. The thorns tore his flesh, rak, but he did not feel it. He reached through, his hand closing around the cool, vibrating stem of the glass blossom. He pulled. The moment the flower was severed, the courtyard went silent. The wind stopped. The birds stopped mid-flight. Obi fell to his knees with the flower clutched in his fist. The medicine was working. His head dropped. His breathing became slow, heavy. Zaki stood over him, sobbing. Obi, Obi, get up! We have to go to the village. They're digging the hole. I can hear the shovels. But Obi was gone. Not dead, but deeper than death. He was in the deep sleep. He was now just another madman in a locked room. Zaki looked at the flower in Obi's hand. It was glowing brighter. Then Zaki realized the cost. Obi could no longer see him. Obi could no longer move. To save Zaki, he had traded his sky for a stranger's breath. He had traded his sight for Zaki's life. But how was the flower to reach Zaki's body? The climax of the shifting moon. Zaki looked at his own shimmering hands. He tried to pick up the flower. He could touch it, because the flower belonged to both worlds. He could hold it. But he was losing strength. His legs were dissolving into orange mist. He took the flower and ran. He ran through the walls of the asylum. He ran through the forest where the owls watched with judging eyes. He reached the village square. The funeral fire was lit. The mourners were wailing. "Oh, Ananyi, why did you leave us?" They were lifting Zaki's body to put it in the wooden box. "Wait!" Zaki screamed, though no one heard. He reached the coffin. He saw his own face, pale, cold, the mouth slightly open. The moon reached the center of the sky. The orange mist began to swirl around Zaki's ankles like hungry snakes. He felt a pull from the earth, a great vacuum wanting to suck him down. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. The villagers began to nail the lid shut. Kupo, kupo, kupo. The first nail went in. The second nail went in. Inside the coffin, the corpse's eyes snapped open. The villagers dropped the coffin. "A ghost! A ghost!" they screamed, scattering like chickens before a hawk. The lid was pushed open from the inside. Zaki sat up. He coughed. He spat out a petal of clear glass that melted into water the moment it touched the air. He was alive. He was warm. He was real. His wife ran to him, weeping. The elders bowed in terror and wonder. "A miracle," they cried. "Zaki has returned from the land of the dead. Surely he will tell us of the golden streets and the songs of the ancestors." Zaki looked at them. He looked at his hands, strong, solid stone builder hands. He looked toward the gray building on the hill, the house of the sleepless. He remembered the man who had traded his sky for a stranger's breath. He remembered the blood on the dust. He remembered the orange mist. Zaki did not speak. He did not brag. He did not tell them he was "I too know." He stood up, walked away from the feast they were preparing, and went to the forest. He gathered the finest fruits. He took his softest blanket. Every day for the rest of his life, Zaki went to the house of the sleepless. He sat by the window of a man who could no longer see him, a man who stared at the wall with empty eyes. Zaki would sit in silence, peeling oranges for a madman who never said thank you. And when the villagers asked why the great builder spent his days with a broken man, Zaki would only point to the sky, for he finally knew. The eye that sees the spirit is a gift. The heart that hears the silence is a debt. So, my children, never mock the one who talks to the wind, for one day the wind may be the only thing that knows your name.